Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. Stand in line for your fix. DeMarcus and Marcus in the mix, serving you yet another round of fish and grits. What's going on, my man?
Hey, everything's going all right. Good food, good game. Had a good night's rest.
Hell of a game. Can you just take in this sports calendar year where you got the Cubs getting back on the board in terms of baseball, LeBron bringing the Cavaliers their first championship in over 50 years. Then you got this amazing comeback by the greatest quarterback of the modern era, if not all time, depending on how you want to argue it, in Tom Brady, overcoming the deficit and scoring 31 straight points. That 3-1 is kind of funny. It seems like it's hunting everybody this year.
Yeah, that's true, man. And the thing that I was really impressed about last night's or a couple of nights ago Super Bowl was I want to say it was 12-28 in the fourth quarter, and I looked up from whatever I was doing and I saw that Brady had 313 yards. And I said, when did you get all that yardage? Like, I know I was like watching the game and, I was kind of distracted doing other things, but I saw a majority of the game and I'm just like, man, when did he rack up that many yards, which is pretty impressive to me. And, for him to finish with like 450 yards passing is pretty impressive. Just shows you that he's not slowing down. Even in old age, he's not slowing down.
Yeah, and that's probably the scariest part. It's probably the best game he played in the Super Bowl, like easily. And that's at 39 years of age. When we just looked last year, Peyton Manning was dying. He couldn't wait to get off the field.
Yeah,
he didn't have the arm to even throw for 300 yards, let alone 466 yards in clutch moments. I mean, he was picking apart the Falcons' surgical precision. Like, he got everything he wanted. Every pass went his way. Yeah, they got to him a couple times, but they didn't hit him enough. And I tell you one thing, those 4 games that he didn't play in the beginning of the year, it kind of showed toward the end. He was fresher. He didn't have all the mileage on his body. He looked good out there. And that line, they did a decent job of protecting him, but he made a lot of the plays on his own just by getting rid of the ball fast. I mean, there's no way you can attempt 62 passes and not know what you're doing. At some point in the game, it was all going to come together for him, and that's exactly what happened toward the end.
well, I mean, when I was looking at the game, because I watched it a second time because, I want to get a little better look at it, how everything kind of played out. And when I was looking, the Atlanta defense really got a lot of pressure on Tom Brady in the first half. So he had to take those, 5, 10, 15-yard, passes that he really couldn't get the ball down deep down the field. And if you were looking at that, it coming into the third quarter, it's like the Patriots made the adjustments that Belichick was probably like, well, if Atlanta's going to give us this, we might as well continue to take that. And that's why he has 62, passes, because they were stopping the running game, but they were giving up those 5 to 10 yard chunk plays that Brady's, is going to take. And the thing about Atlanta is they didn't make any adjustments and coming out of halftime, they still played the same old methodic kind of defense after a while, which really got their linebackers tired.
It became like a lazy zone coverage. Like, they wasn't alert. Like the first half, I feel like they were swarming to the ball. They looked like the Seattle Seahawks at one point. I'm like, oh my God, you see 4 or 5 people gang tackling one player. Like, they were swarming to the ball. You seen none in the second half. But maybe it had a lot to do with being out there for 55 plays in the second half alone.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing I liked about the game was it was never a dull moment. Even when the Patriots were down, there was still a doubt. There was still, doubt, but there was kind of hope in my mind that, this is Tom Brady. I don't think he's going to go out like this. Like, you can't go out with, a blowout or something of that, some of that magnitude. And the thing was, I wasn't surprised when I looked up and I saw that they tied the game and it was going to overtime. I wasn't surprised when they tied it up and they took it to overtime. I just thought to myself, well, this is number 5 for Brady because I don't see him losing in overtime.
Right. Yeah, it was zero confidence in the Atlanta Falcons going into overtime. It's like, all right,
at all.
This is all Brady. But I gotta say, it probably was the third quarter when they were down by 25 points.
328, yeah.
Yeah, 28-3. I said, it's no way in hell that Tom Brady's going down like this. There's no way. Like, regardless of the score, And even that I was going against the Patriots, I just knew he wasn't just going to lay down and get blown out like we've seen Peyton Manning do. He's not Peyton Manning. So I still had confidence that Tom could come back. And I knew he was going to make this a game. Did I expect him to just completely blanket the Falcons for the rest of the game? No. Because I was damn near guaranteeing that at some point Julio going to find the end zone. That's how I felt in the second quarter. I was like, oh man, if they scoring, like if Austin Hooper can catch a touchdown, there's some way that Julio can get open. If Tevin Coleman can get open in the flats, there's some way Julio gonna get one. So I was honestly just waiting for Julio to have that moment. I never at one point in the game felt that the Patriots would come all the way back.
That's true. And the thing that was I think Matt Ryan they got the ball back when it was tied 28-20 now before it was 28-28. And the thing I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, me and DeMarcus score may become possible. Like we thought we was going to be 35-28 or something like that. I was like, yo, we about to really get this score. And Atlanta let us down. And the thing that I didn't like about Atlanta was running when Tevin Coleman went down, it just seems like they went away from their running game.
When the right tackle went down too, because they both went down kind of like back to back.
And
it felt like they just changed their whole game plan. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and they just stopped feeding the ball to Freeman because Freeman was really eating out there. He was really looking. He
almost
had
6 yards carry.
He had the nice jump cuts that I was really impressed by, and then he had the burst that they needed to, continue marching the ball down the field. And not giving him the ball was, I think, the biggest mistake. And you think Dan Quinn would have remembered that with the whole Marshawn Lynch theory that, they don't want to give the ball to the running back, but you go to what's working with you. Yeah, Matt Ryan was really having a productive day. If you want to be honest, if you really want to be honest with yourself, Matt Ryan was having an MVP type of game.
Yeah.
And it just, whatever reason, it didn't go their way. And it's not to say Atlanta could look at this game and look at it two ways. They can look at it as we lost this game, or they can look at it as we gave this game our all, and Tom Brady's just Tom Brady. Because if you look at the stats and you look at if you really look at the game, it just looks like the defense just got tired and Tom Brady just started working, and you couldn't do nothing about that. And same with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was still playing the consistent football that he's been playing all year. And it just seemed like things just kind of fell apart to the wayside, and the Patriots defense started stepping up a little bit better, putting pressure on the wide receivers.
They start hitting Ryan a little bit.
They did, and Matt Ryan, he can hold his head up and say that I played a good game, and we just got beat by a better team. Sometimes it's not like, oh, you played a terrible game, that's why this team won. Sometimes it's just like you just outclassed sometimes. No, even at your best.
That's true. I mean, when I say they had the perfect game plan for beating the Patriots, I've never seen it executed any better. Like for 2.5 quarters, they owned Bill Belichick, and I've never seen them coach that even put him in that kind of situation. They were flustered, but this was a veteran team. But I still put a lot of the blame on Kyle Shanahan. It's the biggest issue I have with him is probably something that you probably don't agree with, but no, it's something even simpler than that. He wasn't on the field. He was in the press box. It's no way for you to get a good feel for the game if you're not actually seeing the emotions of your players. Just camaraderie. You're locked up in a press box calling the game from 100 feet away, if not more. Like you're nowhere near the action. So how can anybody even challenge you to, hey, no, I think we need to run the ball in this situation? The play's coming from up top. Maybe Dan Quinn is communicating with the headset, but he still should have stepped in like, hey, whoa, what you doing? We just need to run the ball. We're in field goal position. What are you doing, Kyle?
Kyle Shanahan looked like he was ready to go to the 49ers team, honestly.
And I want to say that, but I hope that's not the case.
I hope that's not either. But he was all locked up. He's usually on the sideline.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I don't get. Why was he not down there with his team on your last game? Why are you boxed away? Why?
That's true. You need to be near the action so you feel the action.
You got to feel the action. I mean, because he's pretty much watching it at home with us. He's away from everybody. There's no emotion. He don't know what the hell going on with his right tackle if it's not being communicated to him. And how can you communicate when you too busy trying to call the plays? You don't have time to go back and forth. All right, how's my right tackle doing? Oh, hold on, 86 ISO. It's too much going on. He should have been down there. I put a lot of blame on him for not being down there with his team.
Yeah, I can agree to that. And after watching the game, and you know, you like to peek on social media just to get a feel what people are saying. And I know how people feel towards the Patriots, and they want to call them cheaters, or they just want to hate the Patriots because they feel that, you know, they just get special treatment. But after watching that game, Tom Brady shouldn't have any haters. There should be no conspiracy that Trump allowed them to win, or there should be no conspiracies that the running back, what's his name, James White, knee was down and he didn't really cross the goal line. But guess what? They still had 2 more times they could have ran the ball in. You think they were going to get stopped? And I'm just like, people just like we talked about a few podcasts ago about people just not recognizing or giving credit to somebody that they dislike. Tom Brady just showed how phenomenal he is as a football player and how classy he is. The dude likes to compete. And for us as Americans, people, we like competitors. We like people that go in, that they want to win. They always feel they can win. We like those type of people. And I've never seen us hate so much on a person that competes day in, day out. You hear about his nutrition, you hear about his work ethic, you hear about, you know, his dedication to the game, and we still can, you know, constantly want to hate on this man, and it's ridiculous.
It is. And you know, let's get past Tom Brady being a white male for a minute, and let's think about his background as an NFL competitor. He was a 6th-round pick. He came from nothing. He had to beat out Drew Bledsoe, who was a 1st overall pick in the draft. He had to earn every single day in that system, earn his job every single day. They draft quarterbacks every other year. You've seen Matt Castle, you've seen Ryan Mallett, you see Jim Garoppolo right now, you see Jacoby Brissett. Like I just said with Drew Bledsoe, somebody is always right behind him. Brian Hoyer. You can keep naming all these quarterbacks that have went off and at least landed a starting job. Let's not act like they couldn't have been starting for the Patriots, because we've seen Bill Belichick win without Tom Brady. He still has a winning work without Tom Brady. So we know Tom has to go out there and earn everything he's been given to him. He had to earn those first couple Super Bowls. Then he had to go out there and win this one. But he has to work for everything he was given in the NFL. Nothing was handed to Tom Brady. Tom Brady was not a starter at Michigan. He was a backup to Drew Henson, the player that got replaced by Tony Romo. I'm just throwing it out there. But Tom Brady had to work for everything. Man, this man has all the respect from me, and he should have it from everybody else after his performance, because he went out there and did something that no other 39-year-old quarterback probably could do in this day and age where every defensive player wants to kill you and take your head off. He took those hits. He threw a pick 6 and still drove down the field and got a field goal. What if he didn't get that field goal? Now it would have been an even bigger deficit, and the Falcons would have got the ball back. It would have been 28-0. He would have needed another possession. But he drove down there and got that field goal after the pick 6 and put his team on the board at least. So you got to have nothing but respect for the man. He did his damn job, and he's the greatest to ever do it on the football field.
Yep, you got to give it to him. No offense to Dan Marino, Joe Montana, your Brett Favre's, your Aaron Rodgers, your Peyton Manning's, all those great quarterbacks, you know, before him. But he has taken it a step above. Yes, he's blessed with a good coach. But do you default to man for that? I'm sorry, you don't. He works, like you said, constantly. Nothing wasn't handed to him. He had to take everything that he has right now. He had to fight for it. And you have to respect that. You have to.
No doubt, man. You know, the biggest key that I seen to the game, honestly, was just time of possession, because it seems like New England was churning out the clock.
Yes, they were.
They had I think they had about 3 or 4 10-play drives. I think the most plays Atlanta had on one possession was 8. Like that's just crazy. One possession, everything else was like 6 and under. So Atlanta was either scoring quick or they was giving up the ball quick. But it seemed like New England just kept churning the ball. And that's what cost Atlanta at the end. They just left too much time. Like they kept passing all the incomplete passes, slowing down the game. They didn't keep the game flowing. I mean, how do you only run the ball 4 times in the fourth quarter and allow 19 points? Like that just doesn't make sense. And also, how do you let the trailing team A rush more times than you, B have the same amount of rushing yards as you, and C have more timeouts than you? How does that happen? Like, I honestly feel when they drop back and pass after Julio made an amazing grab,
real nice. It was impressive.
nice
That was impressive.
And I said, oh well, that's game over. Then I see you run the ball, yes, for a 1 yard loss, but as soon as you drop back, in the back of my mind, I said,
watch you get sacked.
No, I said you're not passing the ball to Atlanta. You're passing the championship to Tom Brady because you're giving him way too much time. And then to lose 25 yards on back-to-back plays. It's like, oh my goodness. Like, how can you crumble a game any more than this? Like, you really just blew this entire game.
When he dropped back, I was like, watch him get sacked. And then when he dropped back the second time, I said, man, watch some craziness happen where they get out of field goal range. And, it is what it is. And the Falcons, honestly, it seems like when people face the Patriots, they come in the mindset of, Belichick takes away my number one option. I got to plan around that. Mm-hmm. And the thing that everybody does not account for the Patriots, most teams psych themselves out and they get away from what they do best. They always psych themselves out. Every time you see when you see it, the reason why Eli probably on pure luck winning those 2 Super Bowls and always beating the Patriots was you can't game plan with Eli because you don't know what he does well all the time because he doesn't do anything particularly well all the time. So Patriots don't game plan as well as him, and he plays confined. But when most of these other teams play the Patriots, they don't play composed. They seem like they deviate from what worked or what got them there and what is working. And that's what I honestly, that's what I take away from the game. Anytime when the game's on the line and the Patriots are playing, I feel like it's always going to be the other team making a mistake before the Patriots really make a costly mistake. Mm-hmm. And that's what I saw. I said, watch Atlanta make a mistake and the Patriots are going to come back in this game. And when they went to overtime, I said, they messed up. They allowed him have too much time, like we said, and they did not run the ball enough, in my opinion. They went away from what's working with them. Yes, one of your running backs went down, but you have Freeman who was killing it. He was killing it, and you went away from there, and that's the problem.
And what do you, Vic Beasley? Why are you going up with one hand in the red zone? Like, can you explain it? Like, that's the only thing that even popped up on the stat sheet for him. He got no pressure. He was held in check. I don't even know if he breathed on Tom Brady the entire game. Like, Vic Beasley really let me down. Grady Jarrett really showed himself. Like, Grady Jarrett was in the backfield, it seemed like the entire game. You had Dwight Freeney made a couple nice plays.
Freeney was looking real good.
Yeah, but on the other side for the Patriots, Trey Flowers, he was a one-man wrecking crew. I feel like he turned the entire game around as far as the New England defense by himself because he was in Matt Ryan's face, it seemed like the entire second half. He ended up with 5 quarterback hits and 2.5 sacks. So he was very dominant.
That's true. Hey, the Patriots stepped up where the Atlanta Falcons fell off it.
Well, no doubt, man. But let's fast forward to the future with Brady. How many rings do you see him retiring with? I mean, he's already at 5. It looked like he says he wanted to play another 3 to 5 more years. I don't know how true that is, but if he was to play, let's say another 5 years until he was 44 or 45 years old, how many more rings could you see him getting?
Well, let's give him 3 years for, let's throw out a number out there. I don't see him playing for 5 years. I'm gonna give him 3, and I'm gonna say that he could probably win. So this look at his conference. Do you see Oakland really causing a stir? Do you see the Steelers really passing up the Patriots? Do you see Baltimore somehow becoming an offensive better team and beating the Patriots. You see the Texans doing something. I don't see any team stopping them in the next couple of years. And there's a rumor. I know you heard about it. There's a rumor going around that the Patriots really want DeAndre Hopkins. If for some whatever reason, I'm not going to say this really going to happen. If they were to get a DeAndre Hopkins or a Jarvis Landry, one of those quick screen receivers that can take it to the house, if they get one of those type of receivers, man, I can see Tom Brady getting another 2 in the next 3 years.
And that's the thing, because I think it was about the second quarter where I just looked, I said, Tom Brady has no weapons. Like, they need to get this man something. Like, I understand Gronk, but they know Gronk has been an injury case for the last 4 or 5 years. Like, they got to get him some more weapons. It also didn't seem like he was going to Bennett nearly enough. Like, I feel like he could have got way more targets than what he was seeing. I feel like he was getting open a lot, and he just wasn't getting fed the ball. But
I mean, I didn't get to really see a lot of Bennett because I was just personally, when I was watching the game and when I saw Bennett on the field, I was thinking to myself, man, Bennett's going to be a no-show, and I don't feel like he's not going to be like, I really hyped up in my mind that Bennett was going to have a Gronk type game. And when I saw all he had was one catch, I was just like, I was like, what do we have you here for? If you really want to look at Bennett throughout the whole season, he's really been up and down, and he hasn't played to the level that I thought he was going to play at. And I thought he was going to be a relief to Tom Brady, like he was going to be Aaron Hernandez. And I'm just thinking to myself, the Patriots don't really. It's like Gronk or bust. Like, they don't want it's like these receivers that they bring in that, we kind of, a Michael Floyd, he kind of flashed a couple of games. What happened? He's inactive. Bennett, they bring him in. They don't really use him. It's just like Tom Brady uses whatever's that. He doesn't have anybody that's favorite in my mind, but except Gronk and Julian Edelman at times. But he kind of goes to whatever. Who saw James White being the leading receiver for the Patriots? No, I didn't see that. I didn't see James White at all. I saw either LeGarrette Blount or maybe Deion Lewis. I honestly forgot about James White. And at the end of the day, just like, man, Tom Brady doesn't need a weapon, but if you were to give him a weapon, somebody who can take a 5-yard pass and take it to the house with his speed, I think Tom Brady, it can conserve him where he can play more years because he don't have to drop back that far. So give him something like that. He might can last up to 5 years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as long as the offensive line is protecting him, he not taking all these hits. Tom Brady can play as long as he wants because he's already in excellent condition. Like I say, the suspension only helped him. Like, it just took time off his body that he can actually play a little bit longer. So it's a slap in the face for the NFL, and we can officially call this the Deflategate season. Like,
hey, let me ask you a question right quick. Now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of the defenses in the AFC is starting to get shirred up a little bit. The Texans really got some pressure on Brady. The Chiefs, their defense is going to get better next year. Justin Houston wasn't the same, and you saw like Atlanta really get pressured on him. The offensive line for Tom Brady does a great job of giving him time, but I feel like Tom Brady is going to have to not dance in the pocket as long as he does at times. Because he's starting to really get hit a lot, and you starting to notice that. And he was the type of person that didn't get hit a lot throughout his career. That's why he can play, as many years as he is playing. But right now, he's starting to get rocked a little bit too much because, especially, I want to say, last year, he was really getting – that offensive line really let him down a lot and really, I think, took a lot out of Tom Brady. So going forward, if they shore up that offensive line a little bit better and – Tom Brady gets the ball off quicker, a little bit more, and don't dance in the pocket so much, I think he can play for another 5 years.
Probably the worst thing the Texans did to the Patriots, other than not beating them, was giving the NFL a game plan on how to attack the Patriots offense. You have to be able to put enough pressure, but you got to put pressure with only 4 people rushing. You can't blitz them. So you got to put your best 4 rushers across the line, and they got to beat him. They got to put him on his ass. We've seen a lot of that from Atlanta. They just started to get tired. We didn't see it at all from Pittsburgh. I mean, we seen it a little bit, but we didn't see it nearly enough. That team wasn't focused. But the game plan, whenever you blitz and attack Tom Brady, you can be successful. And more teams have that game tape to study on. Now it's up for Bill Belichick to game plan against that because now he has an offseason and he's already won the championship for last season. Now he's going to add some type of wrinkle in that offense to where he's either going to be getting the ball away quicker or they may start even running a little bit more just to preserve him for this type of run. Because they got to find some way to take 4 games of damage off of Tom Brady for him to be as successful in the Super Bowl as he was this year. They got to find some way to do it because he can't last 16 NFL regular season games taking the damage like he was taking, I say, in the last, 3 or 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
He can't last that way. They're going to have to protect him. I mean, Tom got his ass kicked in the Super Bowl in the first half. But I think that long break that he had at halftime, I think it was like an hour before. Yeah, he
got his legs up under him.
He got his legs on him. He was able to get hydrated. He was feeling good. And he was able to think about everything he has to do. I'm pretty sure they broke that Atlanta defense inside and out that entire halftime. And they came out and they showed that they adjusted to whatever Atlanta was trying to do. But you gave Bill Belichick and Tom Brady an hour to make adjustments at halftime in an NFL game that they used to making adjustments in 20 minutes.
That's another thing. That's the thing that the Super Bowl does need to, I guess, work on because that gap that we talk about is pretty pivotal to, it really can turn the tide of the game if you want to be
and it benefit those that game plan. Like Atlanta came out there flying around. They
was probably hyped up.
Yeah, they look like a college team. You know what I mean? They look like they'd never been there before. And then in the second
they
half,
were probably hyped up in halftime.
Yeah, in the second half, it looked like they didn't want to be there anymore at all because they was just tired. They were sluggish. They ran, like I said, they ran some of the laziest zone coverage I've ever seen. Nobody was ganging and tackling. I mean, they had 4 players with 9 or more tackles. So I know they was getting tired. A lot of them had solo tackles, so they trying to bring down these shifty receivers all day. I understand why you're tired, but coach got to find some fresh bodies or something because they was just out there giving up 466 worth of yards, and that's crazy.
Yeah, man. And Belichick, you have to put. We are living in a decade like we spoke about this before, DeMarcus. We're living in the best decade of sports because we have 2 of the best franchises that are unstoppable right now. And we've never seen some of this consistency. Like we haven't seen the consistency of how the Patriots have always been either in the running for the Super Bowl, competing for a Super Bowl, in the playoffs. We haven't seen that consistency over, so many decades. And same with in the NBA with the Spurs. They always have so many consecutive seasons of 50-win seasons, always there knocking on the door for a championship or in the Western Conference Finals. We haven't seen that, and we need to appreciate that when you have a good coach and you have talent in a young player that is developed and matured, you can go a long way. Popovich, what he did with Tim Duncan and allow him to be up under David Robinson and maturing and becoming the great player that he was, that shows. Same with with Belichick and Tom Brady. He was back there. When he was the backup, he was learning. And so when it's time for him to get out there and shine, he knows how it felt to be a backup, and he won't be a backup again. So he shined in the right time. Good coaching, maturing players goes a long way in my book.
No doubt, man. But yeah, Atlanta. Let's just talk about Atlanta for a minute. Do you see them getting back to the Super Bowl anytime soon? Do you think there's anything they can learn from this experience? Because they clearly heading in the right direction. Are they in the perfect direction? They at the great time with their quarterback in his prime years. It's kind of like this is what we wanted for Phillip Rivers. You know what I mean? Like he had a decent defense. He had LT in the back. He had Antonio Gates. He had a couple big receivers on the outside and Vincent Jackson and I forgot the Malcolm or something like that. But, this is what we wanted for Phillip. But it just kind of tailed off. And also he was in the AFC battling Peyton Manning and Tom Brady for years. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a lot of competition on the NFC side. So can you see Atlanta coming back in, I want to say, in the next 5 years? Do you think they'll be able to make it back one more time?
Well, they're going to have to compete with Dallas. I think Dallas can make it. The Giants, I can never count them out. Washington, they're interesting. The Washington has the talent of, if Kirk Cousins can be more consistent and they shore up that defense, I think Washington can go far. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is always going to be a headache. Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota. I don't know about those teams. Tampa Bay is going to be good. New Orleans is going to be good. Seattle. Honestly, it's a toss up. I can see them coming back if the cards align, but there are too many good teams in the NFC that
that's the problem. Because your window's so small in the NFC.
It's very small, and the thing that's crazy about it is the Patriots are in a division that is young, and there's so many pieces lacking on each team why they can't get to the Super Bowl. But in the NFC, it's always loaded. Like
it's loaded in the NFC. Like they got everything. They got good backs, good receivers, good defense. Like everything.
Look at this. Okay, so let's look at this right quick. Seattle. What does Seattle need? A more consistent running game and maybe offensive line play. They're back in the Super Bowl. Arizona. They just need consistent quarterback play. They'll be in the Super Bowl. Then you go look at Tampa Bay. All Tampa Bay needs is
consistency. Period.
Exactly on the offensive side. They can make the Super Bowl. New Orleans. The defense just has to play better. They'll be in the Super Bowl.
The defense is 15 or under. Like
that's what I'm saying. There's like little tweaks you have to do to these teams, and they can easily make the Super Bowl. Giants. That's why it's a toss up. So I don't know. I can't see Atlanta coming back because I think Matt Ryan's window is starting to close because he is getting up there with age, and I can't see him being like a Tom Brady and playing for that many years. So I think that window is closing. And watch what I say this. It's either going to be Jameis Winston or it's going to be Drew Brees that gets MVP. I always say NFC South, they got a carousel of MVP trophies that's going to go around in that division.
Man, what makes me feel so bad about Matt Ryan, honestly, bro, Aaron Rodgers made a Super Bowl in 2010. Hasn't been back yet. And he's still considered like one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league to this day. Matt Ryan could never go back to a Super Bowl. Yes, he has an MVP under his belt, but that Super Bowl loss or this blown game could have cost him the Hall of Fame.
True.
Like I know this probably thinking a little bit further in advance, but Joe Flacco still has a chance if he can put together a couple good seasons to get the Hall of Fame off his incredible run by his own. And that's just how much a Super Bowl run can do for your career. Joe Flacco really don't have to do anything else, and his name is still going to be in the books as one of the better quarterbacks of the modern era off that perfect Super Bowl run he had on his own. Matt Ryan needed this for his career because in the NFC, like I just said with Aaron, it's been 7 years since the greatest, in quotation marks, quarterback in the NFL has been back to the Super Bowl. And we don't even put Matt Ryan on the same planet as Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So he could easily never come back. And can you imagine like having to retire knowing that you blew the biggest game of your life with the biggest lead? The biggest deficit in the Super Bowl was 10. 10, that's 2.5 times more than the biggest deficit ever. 25 points.
Yeah, man, that's got to be, that's got to really kill your character. That's got to kill your character because that's got to kill the character. You're like, honestly, we talked about that old good 3-1 earlier in the show, just like the Warriors. I'm pretty sure it kills the Warriors day in and day out that they just gave up a 3-1 lead to LeBron and them.
Indians?
Huh?
The Indians?
Oh, yeah, the Indians? Yeah. You blow these leads, and these teams are not guaranteed to get back, except the Warriors. They're probably guaranteed to get back. But the thing about it is it could either make you or break you. And that's what I'm going to look for going forward with Matt Ryan. Is this going to break you, or is this going to make you as I want to say your career, that you're that quarterback that lost, but you're going to come back and you're going to lead your team back to the promised land, and you're going to take back what you lost. You know what I'm talking about? And I can see Atlanta doing that because you still have Julio. I don't know how that toe situation is.
Young. Defense is still very young. The defense is still very young.
True, and then you have another year with Dan Quinn, and they hired
new offensive coordinator Sean Sarkisian.
That's a good signing for them. So that means that what's it going to take for Matt Ryan is the Super Bowl is going to escaped him. But what you can do right now is you can start playing some of the most consistent football that you've ever played, going off this season. And if you continue to play consistent, football and you don't do a lot of turnovers and you always in like the 35 or 40 touchdowns or something like that, and you continue to build your stats, people will notice your greatness and you won't just fall out of people's mind of the guy that lost in the Super Bowl, but you need to work your hardest to try to get back to the promised land.
Yeah, no doubt, man, no doubt.
Because look at Phillip Rivers. Like, we still talk about Phillip Rivers being one of the best quarterbacks in the that's ever played. And he has no
not even the AFC Championship. He made one, but they lost to New England.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He don't, but he's still in the conversation because he's always been consistent. You know that he's always going to give the team rides on his back. Matt Ryan's not always been known for that person. So he needs to change that perspective people having on him, building off this MVP season. So I think he can still have a luxurious career. I don't know if he can get back to the Super Bowl. I hope he gets back to the Super Bowl because I would love to see Julio get a ring. But there's no telling in today's age.
I don't want to put too much pressure on you, so I'm not going to make you put a whole list together. But if we organize in the top 10 quarterbacks of the NFL, what do you put Matt Ryan right now? Or does he even make your top 10 at this moment?
Man, hold on. Give me 2 seconds. So I'm going to think about this. So Matt Ryan has to be in the top 10 because
I feel like he has to. Yeah.
What's
I feel like he has to at least now.
Okay, so we have Tom Brady is at the top. Then we're going to travel down. We have Big Ben is probably in my top. I want to say he's like number 4.
Okay.
Then we have Andrew Luck, who would have to be, I say Andrew Luck is like number 7 in my list. Then I have, we keep going. Derek Carr is, he's not even in there. So yeah, he would have to be because there's no other person. I would have Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers in the top 3. Then you have Russell Wilson. Maybe people have Andrew Luck. Then you have to say Phillip Rivers, maybe Matt Ryan. There you go. But
so like 8-ish.
It all depends. It can go up with a Super Bowl and consistent play, or it can fall down. So it's up to him. But I'd say 8, maybe 7.
Okay, well, I can agree with that. I mean,
he's not better than Drew Brees. Like I can't put. He's not better than Tom Brady. He's not better than Aaron Rodgers. He could probably compete with Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson has the ring, so that puts him automatically at number 4 in my book. And then Andrew Luck, you're not beating him. So, and I think he's better than Cam Newton. I'll tell you that. I'd like him way better than Cam Newton.
Yeah, as a quarterback, of course. It made me upset because in the fourth quarter, you kind of seen Matt Ryan turn back into Matt Ryan. It was kind of like him turning back into a pumpkin when he started doing like the check down throws. Like, what are you doing? This the last drive of the Super Bowl. Like,
throw it downfield.
Yeah, at least put your team in position. Like, this is so 2012 Matt Ryan of you right now. Like, come on, man. Like, I really thought he was past that point, but he really nutted up in the biggest moment of his life. Like when he threw that check down with no timeouts, I said, he know he just lost the game, right? Like I'd rather you at least throw an interception or something and let them try to heave it downfield and just like, all right, well, let's just go to overtime and see what happens. No, we know what's gonna happen. Like, come on, man.
Hey, let me ask you a question. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking about after the Super Bowl is over, I was like, man, what's the team that I could see getting to the Super Bowl or that I would like to see going to the Super Bowl? I was thinking to myself, I don't know what the contract situation is with Carson Palmer. I don't know how much money he has tied up or he's getting paid. If he doesn't come back, I hope Washington doesn't commit to Kirk Cousins, because I hope that the Cardinals get either like Jimmy Garoppolo or Kirk Cousins, because I can see Arizona going all the way next year. Because I feel like they if you watch, I've watched a lot of the interviews, during Super Bowl week, and Bruce Arians was on there, and the way this guy talks and the way he is some kind of confident that he walks with, and when he talks about his team, and he said his team knows that they were in every one of the games that they played in, but there was 2 or 3 mistakes that they look back on that they could correct and win those games. Mm-hmm. And just think about how dangerous that team is with a healthier defense. Everybody comes back healthy. Mm-hmm. Everybody comes back healthy on the offense. Man, I like Arizona going into next year, just depending on what the quarterback situation is.
No doubt. When I think about the Super Bowl, I think the possible free agent that could change everything is Adrian Peterson, because if he's able or even willing to accept like a secondary backup role, not really like a backup, but just somebody that comes in maybe second down, they need to let pounding, that could change an NFL team. And if he was to go to a team like Dallas and replace whatever Darren McFadden wants to be, and all the other backups that they have, like Alfred Morris,
Alpha
if
Morris.
he was to replace them, that Dallas team could be dangerous. We've been seeing a lot of rumblings saying that Adrian Peterson wants to come to Texas some way somehow. So if Dallas was able to just make that happen, that literally would put them as the favorites in my book behind that offensive line with Zeke and Adrian Peterson, Dez and Dak. Like that would be pretty scary. And like I say, that would change the entire landscape of the league.
But they don't
So
need. That's the thing. They don't need that because if you watch some of the Dallas games, Darren McFadden looked pretty good when he wasn't, having the starring role, like you could say when he played starting with Mark Sanchez. But Dallas just needs a pass rush. If they get a pass rush and maybe a decent corner, Dallas will be in the Super Bowl next year because Zeke, I don't see him getting hurt. Darren McFadden is good enough talent, backup talent, because he has starter talent, but putting him in those moments of relief, I think they're fine. Adrian Peterson. Now,
if he's not demanding a huge salary and he's able to accept that role, would you not want to bring in Adrian Peterson?
I would, but I wouldn't want to pay for him because I know I need to share my defense.
Yeah. If you're not paying, if you got to pay Adrian Peterson $10 million, of course.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to spend that on something I don't really need, where I could pay $1 million and probably get the same production, or maybe a tail less from Darren McFadden. If I was Adrian Peterson, I would go to a team that needs a running back and that's on the cusp of winning.
I wouldn't want to take on the bell cow role. I'd want to be a backup if I'm Adrian.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. If he goes to maybe the Packers, the rival team, go to the Packers, or goes to the Lions, he can be a backup. Like Detroit has enough. Amendola, what's his name? Golly, the running back
for Detroit.
Yes, I can't think of his name. He has to come back next year. He can have a starting role, and then Adrian Peterson come in as your power back, because that's what Detroit is missing, is a power back. They got a running back that in Theo Ridley that can catch at the backfield. All you need is another power back. Go to that team, and boom, they're in the Super Bowl maybe.
Yeah, but like I say, that's if he was to embrace that kind of role. Like I say, he's just I'm just throwing it out there. Like I say, I don't know if it's going to be a for sure thing or anything, but that'll really show up that Dallas backfield. Like I like Freddie Morris, I like McFadden, I like what he do, but Adrian Peterson is a whole different beast. And if you can bring him in as the ultimate spell back, they'll be ideal. But just looking at Super Bowl 52 in general, I do like Dallas' chances of taking in everything that they did from this season. Jalen Smith coming back, adding in a couple pieces. Who don't want to go to Dallas? Let's just be honest, as a free agent.
I think Dallas is going to screw. I think Jerry Jones is going to screw Dallas a chance of going back to the Super Bowl. I think that he has this Hall of Fame next to his name that he's going to feel confident in his decisions, and he's going to say, well, you know what? I was this poor dude that lost everything from Arkansas, and I made, I turned myself into $1 billion man, and I have one of the highest paid franchises, and blah 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 this, blah 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 that. And what he's gonna do is he's gonna keep Tony Romo, and I'm pretty sure he wants to bench Dak Prescott and throw Tony Romo into the starting position. Watch what I say. Watch Jerry Jones do something stupid.
Jerry can't let that happen. That'll be,
I'm telling you,
the worst mistake he can make.
He talks so much about Tony Romo. For Tony Romo not to have played barely a lick of football this whole entire year, he talks about Tony Romo like he's his best friend, and he's about to get his starter position, and he's getting ready for offseason to get back into shape. I'm telling you, Jerry Jones is going to mess it up for everybody. And I promise you, he's trying to chase Jimmy Johnson and say, I can win a title without Jimmy Johnson. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened, Jerry. It's not happening.
Yeah, Barry Switzer don't count. Barry don't count. That was Jimmy Cleveland.
Barry was reminding me of you remember when Rick Carlisle kind of constructed the Pistons and what's his name came in and took over the Pistons and they won a title. No, that was Rick Carlisle's team to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'm just like, Jerry Jones is gonna mess it up some type of way. If he doesn't mess it up, Dallas is probably gonna be in the Super Bowl. I either have Dallas, I have the Saints probably making it to the Super Bowl also, and then I also have I forgot Seattle. I mean, the Cardinals going. So,
okay, you see the Patriots going back to back.
I see the Patriots going there, or maybe if the Raiders get an off season for their defense to start clicking and gelling, I can see them making it to the Super Bowl. I see them going on a hot streak and just riding the wave.
You know, man, let's go to the Raiders way quick. I feel like one of the biggest awards that I had a problem with was Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, Khalil Mack had a good season. Wasn't better than his last year's season. But a player that had a better season than last year was Von Miller. And this is a player that got paid. Like, he came out there and pass rushing with a purpose. Like, he earned every dollar that they paid him in the offseason. And I feel like he really did deserve the defensive MVP because his team was in shambles. Like, Khalil Mack had an MVP on the other side, or a possible MVP on the other side in Derek Carr. Von Miller had Trevor Siemian trying to make something happen for the Broncos defense, and they still missed the playoffs. DeMarcus Ware was on his last leg. Yeah, he still had the no-fly zone, but they were still giving up some plays this year. It wasn't the same defense from last year. The only player that I felt still played a little bit hungry, like he did win a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP, was Von Miller. And I feel like he really got robbed this year. Like, I honestly felt like he got robbed. You never see players get that type of guaranteed money and go out there and have one of the better seasons of your career. Like, you just don't see it happening. He had more sacks than Khalil. He had more tackles than Khalil. And he had almost the same amount of forced fumbles. So it ain't like Khalil just outdid him in any category.
I saw that and I said, man, they really snubbed Von Miller because, as you said, you gave out his stats. But if you watch the game, I mean,
first place schedule, right?
But I'm trying to tell you what it is. What it is the Broncos had a down year, Super Bowl champs. They didn't make it to the playoffs. Boo-hoo. And they go ahead and knock a player because of that. But they don't always look at stats, and they don't always look at all-around game and all-around situations. It's so many variables that determine a lot of these players' downfall, or, you know, how they played and if they played through it and stuff like that. And I feel like Khalil Mack kind of made more noise this year because the Raiders were kind of the hot thing. So they kind of got a more everybody's viewpoints and everybody's eyes on them. And the Broncos kind of faded to faded a little bit, and Von Miller didn't get as much attention. But if you look at stats and you look at game tape, like you said, Von Miller stood out more than Khalil Mack. And I think that was a robbery. And another robbery we're going to talk about right now is Coach of the Year. I don't like Jason Garrett getting that award. It either should have went to Bill Belichick, because what did Bill Belichick do
without Brady?
He won 4 games. He won 3 or 4 games without Tom Brady.
No Chandler Jones. Like, the list goes on and on.
And all these, no Gronk. Gronk's out of there. You know that whole question. Everybody was like, "Ooh, Tom Brady only wins championships because of Gronk." Oh, Tom Brady put that to rest. So it's just like him. I like Jim Caldwell over Jason Garrett because he may have had a 9-7 record, but for you to do that with a player you just signed with no defense, with Megatron leaving out the door, and you making it to the playoffs, I have to commend that. You could also given it to Dan Quinn and what he did with Atlanta. No one saw Atlanta doing anything this year. Nobody saw Atlanta going to the Super Bowl, let alone making the playoffs this year. And what he did is way more impressive than what Jason Garrett did. Jason Garrett reminds me of Spoelstra, because you have all this talent and everybody gives you credit like you were just that good of a coach. But when you lose that talent, look what your record looks at. Everybody look at this. I'm going to be honest with you. Miami is on an 11-game winning streak. But guess what? They're still like 13 games under 500. That's terrible coaching to me.
Yeah.
And let's talk about with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett barely calls the offensive plays. Jason Garrett is just a puppet in the Cowboys organization. That's all he is. He's a yes man and a butt slapper. That's all Jason Garrett is. And I'm not about to give Jason Garrett credit because my offensive line played amazing. And I had Ezekiel Elliott, who's probably one of the best rookie running backs, just
ever
eating all over the field. Oh, and guess what? I happen to have Dak Prescott, who played well beyond thought he was going to be
offensive rookie of the year.
Thank you. And it's like, I'm not going to give you that title. I'm not going to give you a title because, oh, you had the most wins. Oh, you're the Cowboys. No, these awards are so serious to some of these people because they work their tail off. Because not everybody's going to make it to the Super Bowl. So guess what? You work for those other awards, passing somebody up on the numbers line, or getting some of these accolades as MVP or Defensive Player of the Year and stuff like that. Give these people credit, and don't give me Jason Garrett as Coach of the Year when he does not deserve it at all.
No, you got a point, man. Like I say, if I would have switched the 2 coach awards that was handed out, I would have gave it to Dan Quinn if it was the head coach, and for assistant coach of the year, I would have picked Romeo Crennel from what he did with that Texans defense without his major stars and just plugging in and putting everybody in position to make plays, from McKinney to Whitney Merciless to Jadeveon Clowney to DJ Reader. I feel like he did a hell of a job. It's not saying that Kyle Shanahan didn't deserve the assistant coach of the year award, but he was gifted Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman. Ain't like he had to breed these players. They were already good in college, and they just made the easy transition.
Yeah, and
he wasn't given undrafted free agents to make a team out of.
And that's I don't know why everybody hyping up Kyle Shanahan, because don't act like Kyle Shanahan was running a good offense in Washington with RG3. Yeah, he called some good play action passes, or a lot of RG3 kind of just had an all amount and just impressive year. And then what did he do? Nothing. And then with the Browns, nothing. The Texans, he wasn't that great of offensive coordinator. Don't hype him up. It was just the talent of all his players. Start clicking at the right time. That's all that is. That's all that is. What'd you say?
I said, then his Super Bowl play calling. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah. Where was that good play calling at? So that's not hype him up. But yeah, I like what you said about that. Any more, snubs you saw?
I couldn't really disagree with the offensive rookie of the year. I mean, Dak Prescott did his thing, of course.
He did.
Zeke Elliott did his thing too, but they should just made him like co-offensive players of the year. Because Zeke is more valuable. I mean, he was like third in MVP race.
I'm with you. So if you want to do a Walter Payton Award, why don't you do a rookie of the year? I don't understand that either.
Yeah.
That was crazy. If you want to be honest, they can really do a triplet rookie offensive award, because let's not be rude, but Jordan Howard had a damn good season for a rookie running back.
That's true.
I mean, he had
trash. He didn't have no good offensive line.
He didn't have no good offensive line. He didn't have good quarterback play. He didn't have consistent quarterback play. Wide receivers weren't balling out there on a consistent basis. His defense even sucked. That dude balled this year, and I think
he was actually the player that led the league in 20-yard rushes.
I know. That's what I was just about to bring up. So you got to give this man some type of love, and I feel like if there wasn't the Zeke or the Zeke or Dak Prescott hype, or they're all over the place, they're winning stuff like that, people really need to look at Jordan Howard's stats. He really balled out this year.
Yeah, man. Like I say, that was probably the only couple of awards I had a problem with. I feel like everything else was pretty much in par. Shout out to Tennessee. They should have been probably one of the better offensive lines. So they was mauling boys. Yeah, I know they were doing their thing, but they didn't have no athletic freak like Ezekiel Elliott behind. They had slow-mo DeMarco
Murray putting up monster numbers this year.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But the Hall of Fame snub, I come on, man.
T.O., man.
Do I even have
God? If you want to be honest,
bro, like
you can't tell me that T.O. should not have been in the Hall of Fame.
How, Slay? How?
Bro, the thing that blows my mind is if you want to say what a person has done, their personal life, and you want to judge that and, knock them down a little bit, guess what? T.O. still on that merit alone is way better than the antics that he did. Yeah, he may have destroyed locker rooms, but guess what? That's on the coaching staff and the players for allowing that to happen, because you're not going to come. That's like somebody coming in your classroom as a teacher and fucking your shit up. And you know, you be like, well, he fucked my shit up, so it's taking us a while to get it back in order. No, me as a teacher, you don't come in my room and fuck my shit up. So thank you. That's not T.O.'s problem. That's just, sorry that he just had to have coaches that allowed him to do shit like that. And the thing about it is his numbers do not lie. He is in the top category in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. The dude has scored 2 touchdowns against every team in the league. And he has, yes, he was a showboat. Yes, he did destroy locker rooms, but did he do drugs? No. Was he out there fucking strippers? No. Was he out there doing cocaine and shit? No. T.O. may have just been a headache in the locker room. That's all it was. And you telling me he can't make it into the Hall of Fame?
But Kurt Warner can make it. And I don't got nothing against Kurt Warner. But Kurt Warner... Hey.
Kurt Warner inherited a good offense clicking at the right time. That's all that was. He's like the Kirk Cousins of now, but more consistent.
He was handed everything. He was handed one of the better offensive lines, two Hall of Fame receivers, and a Hall of Fame running back.
Hall of Fame running back.
Hall of Fame left tackle. Come on, man. Kurt Warner before Terrell. All right, look, Kurt Warner deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, but Terrell Owens should have been in this year. They could have waited on Kurt. They could have put Terrell in. It's all about politics, though. I'm still kind of confused that Isaac Bruce ain't made it yet, and then you got Randy Moss coming next year. So it's going to be hard as hell for Bruce and T.O. to get in the Hall of Fame over these next few years. It's still some more big names coming up. So it's about to be pretty tough for them to make it. That's why I feel like this was that time that Terrell had to go in before you start getting those bigger names out there, the people that the media like, you know? So...
And you know, somebody, Chris Carter said this on Undisputed. He was saying that there's a lot of great receivers that have to wait, and T.O. just has to pay his due. No, he does not, because on talent and stats alone, T.O. should not have to wait for anything. Tony Gonzalez, T.O., Tom Brady, and that's off the top of my head for right now on people that should not wait to get into the Hall of Fame. They should just be first ballot. And that's just off the top of my head. So, yes, I haven't called out a whole bunch of people. But
I'm sure Randy Moss going to be first ballot, and that ain't fair.
That's what I'm saying. The dude was constant.
Randy Moss didn't do shit in the Super Bowl. T.O. put up, 10 and 130? Come on, bro.
On a bum ankle at that. And you can't give me this whole thing about
Randy Moss lost 2 Super Bowls.
That is true. Nobody talks about this. Terrell Owens made the Pro Bowl on how many different teams? What I think he made it on three different teams. That's impressive. Yeah. All Pro. He made All Pro, missing 4 games. The season he played with the Eagles, he still made All Pro. You missed 4 games and you still make first team All Pro.
It's like Tom Brady making All Pro, and he didn't make All Pro.
You can't knock the man's stats. Yeah, he was a little bit over the top for everything that he did. But guess what? There's going to be a whole bunch of wide receivers coming up in the Hall of Fame talk later on. I want to say in another 10 or 20 years. And your Odell Beckhams, your Antonio Browns, your
Andre Johnsons.
No, not Andre Johnson. But I'm talking about as in being outspoken and kind of more flamboyant. So you're going to knock them and not let them in the Hall of Fame if they continue having the success they've been having? No.
But the thing is, all the quiet receivers that's coming up on ballot, they going to get voted in before T.O. because they kept quiet, and that's not fair.
That's not fair. And you know what? That's the society we live in. Just like, you know, at work, like, you could be like the greatest employee ever, but if you have some outside drama that everybody starts to sniff and you get exposed, the company wants to push you to the side just because you have this outside drama. But that's not messing up my work ethic and what I'm putting or what I'm bringing to the table, it shouldn't matter. Right. It shouldn't matter at all. It shouldn't matter what I do at home. What does it matter? It doesn't matter at all. And T.O. needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Should have been in there last year.
You know, what's going to mess him up is the fact that he like publicly wrote, I don't even care about the Hall of Fame. That's just going to get him more juice to not vote for him. So, yeah, he's still hurting his case, but I understand his frustration because he did everything in his power to be the best receiver each and every game on that field. Each and every game. Even at his old age with Cincinnati, he still put up 1,000 yards. He still did his thing in Buffalo. He was productive everywhere he went, and you can't take that away from that man. Randy Moss was not productive with San Francisco. He didn't deserve to be in that Super Bowl, but he's going to be first ballot for no fucking reason because he can outrun everybody on the defensive coverage. That ain't fair because he had Tom Brady throw him 22 touchdowns. That ain't fair. T.O. did everything he could for Donovan McNabb to win the Super Bowl, and McNabb the one that fucked that game up. It's not T.O.'s fault, and he shouldn't be getting that backlash he's getting right now. It's not fair. He should have been in the Hall of Fame this year.
Think about this, y'all. How are you Terrell Owens and you outshine Jerry Rice when you on the same team as Jerry Rice? How do you do that?
Jerry Rice Day.
Like, come on. Like the dude, he had antics. But guess what? He was a showmanship. He entertained. Football's entertaining. Yeah, he was complaining about stuff. 9 times out of 10, Terrell Owens was complaining that he was open and you should have thrown him the ball. If that's the knock you want to put on T.O., I can't get mad at that. Like, yo, it's ridiculous that we constantly live in this society where people do not give credit to those who deserve it. We constantly want to knock and come up with excuses in our mind to knock or distinguish what a person has done and the greatness of that person. Exactly. And you know what? I myself do that. I constantly would talk about why I don't like LeBron, but I constantly you would never hear me say, oh, LeBron's trash or LeBron is this and that. There's things that LeBron does that I don't care for, but I'm not going to diminish him and say he's not great. You don't respect him, yeah. Tom Brady, people still to this day will say, oh, Tom Brady's only good because he cheated. Guess what? Look at the regular season numbers. The dude constantly putting up great numbers. Great numbers. And no one and everybody still wants to find reasons to knock you. It's just like, yo, we live in a society where everybody wants to judge everybody, but instead of giving people credit, and I'm giving T.O. credit, and I feel like he should have been in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Bam, that it is. I knew we both feel a little heat on there. We was Eagles fans back in the 2000s, so we know the struggle of being Eagles fans. And T.O. was everything to that Eagles team during this time period there, and he almost brought that city a championship. So, hey, I 100% agree with you. T.O. should have been in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully, he'll get there in due time. But it may be a couple receivers that's going to pass him up, and that's going to be the sad thing because they all wasn't as good as T.O. on the field, but yeah, they probably had together off the field. I understand that, but the Hall of Fame should be about what you did on the field, and on the field is not few that are better than Terrell Owens.
Mm-hmm.
But as for now, has been a good episode. Look like it's going to be the end of the NFL season. We'll get into some more free agency talks as it happens and whatever else happens around the NFL league. But from here on, it's all about basketball, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we will be coming to you soon with the NBA update. Our rankings will be out in a few weeks. Right after the All-Star week, we're going to have to get together on that and start deciding all the teams we're going to be moving around. It's going to be hot, I guarantee you. But what you got? Hey,
DeMarc, let me plug this in right quick. I know we haven't been doing the catch of the day of, I wanted to say, the past couple of episodes, but that's coming back, busy schedule. We are working hard out there in the real world, so we don't always get enough time to dedicate to the craft that we like doing the most, which is this right here. So this catch of the day will be coming back, and in next episode, we will have the fresh squeeze of the day. It will be back.
No doubt, everything will be back to you. We just had to jump out live and just get into the Super Bowl. It was a hell of a Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
We need more like that one. It was jam packed. I loved it. But as for now, this has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served.
Y'all take it easy.